Welcome, cousins. It is so cool to have a group of cousins with us now at 7sistershomeschool.com. I mean, there's a bunch of weird family relationships, right? Like there's six of us, seven sisters. So who's the seventh sister? You guys are, and now you're cousins. So we won't try to do the family tree on that. But let me tell you a little bit about why we got this started. So, Sabrina and I were chatting at some place or the other and say, you know what, we need some younger and other voices in there on the Seven Sisters website, sharing their experiences and expertise because, we're Titus women. We've been there, we've done that, and we've got a lot of expertise to share and a lot of love for our homeschooling community. But we need some young faces in here. We love our kids and we love everybody else's kids too. And so we want everybody else who loves kids in there with us. We just want to expand our community. So we were talking about having some more voices on the blog posts and letting those faces, become part of our homeschool Seven Sisters community. And in a way, we want to also make that an access to helping those other cousins, those other sisters, to build their own communities peripherally, just like a family grows and grows in all kinds of different directions, and of course build your business, because those of us who are entrepreneurs of any kind are trying to be good stewards of income and bring some income in to help our families. So anyway, we always have the philosophy that a rising tide lifts all ships. And if Seven Sisters is meeting some success in the world and making friends and doing good in the homeschool community, let's bring some other ships in and let's all do this together and build a big, broad, happy and loving homeschool community. So anyway, so thank you for considering being a Seven Sisters cousin. And so let me tell you about being a cousin. So initially we were thinking we would do 2 training modules, but let's just do one, because you guys don't have all the time in the world. And I think we can get this done concisely in just a little while, and then you don't have to squeeze in another session. All right. So I'm going to give you also handouts. You can download and keep those. So the first thing to know is, at Seven Sisters, we're not trying to find a way to make you feel nervous about writing a blog post. All of you guys know how to write. You are all good writers, and that's why we invited you to be Seven Sisters cousins. And so, we are warm, friendly, maybe ditzy, but warm and friendly, and not critical, and not looking for ways to slap your hands. So take a breath and relax, and know we can do this together. Also know that Sabrina and I are always accessible, because we're all in this together. So if you have any questions, send me a message on Facebook, or like Vicki Tillman at Facebook, or send me an email at Vicki@7sistershomeschool.com. Just however it feels good to you, and we will answer questions, because like I said, we're all in this together. So all right, so let me briefly review. All right, so what we're looking for is we're looking for sisters to write a couple of blog posts per year for the site, so we have those new voices there. Okay, so this is what we're hoping for, is that a couple of times a year you can contribute a blog post, and then we meet together a couple of times a year. It'd be nice if we can do it all together on Zoom, with all of the cousins and everything, because we're kind of forming a community, but we also know that all of us are human beings with families and demands, and so we'll work with whatever needs to happen. So don't get all stressed about, well, my schedule's so crazy this year and I don't know whether I can do that. Like we can meet offline, like whatever. And that's just for a quick check-in or brainstorming ideas, to plan out content for your year, like whatever needs to happen. It's just good to make eye contact, even if it's just Zoom. Okay. And then what we really are after is your unique perspective. We want your voice. We don't want you to be 7 sisters, like mimic us perfectly. What we want is your perspective and your experience and your love of homeschooling, and for that to show through on a couple of blog posts a year. And then in return, what we are doing is we want this to be a mutually beneficial thing. And so what we do is, for all of you guys, you have we've chatted together just one-on-one before you even got to this point. All right, and then you watch this video and download the resources so you got them on file. And so it's just the initial handout we sent you about being in the Cousins Club, but also the style guide. So it's a real short, but to me, I don't know about you guys, but it helps me to feel more comfortable if I kind of know the style of what an organization's. I've written blog posts for so many people, and it always helps me if I kind of have this is not rigid, but like the Pirates Code, the suggestion, we're going in that direction. Okay. So, and then what Sabrina and I will be doing is once a year, we are going to write a post that shares your products or your site, something that you would like for us to share. So it's coming from us. And then that will be evergreen there on the site, pulling people over to your site. Also links from your posts that you write for 7 Sisters, backlinking to your website and your materials there. So whatever you choose to link to, and that's as we know, like that's the SEO game. We got to make Google happy with lots of backlinks driving over to your website. So that makes us look good at 7 Sisters. It makes your site look good. So you will put links to things that are interesting to you in your own posts that will drive people to your own site. Also, you will get an evergreen 7 Sisters coupon. So if you are an affiliate, that you will have a special 50% off coupon, and Sabrina is going to work on that with you. Like she will get that set up, or maybe Kim will, because that one's out of my domain. I don't do that part at all. But what that is that then if people if you're an affiliate and people are purchasing things from 7 Sisters off of coming through your site, you get a better percentage than our other affiliates, who we love all of our affiliates, but you are special cousins, so you get a little extra. All right. And then we have endorsements that we will be bragging on you on our site, on our Facebook page. And then we're starting a page on the site. So it will launch as we get ready to share posts, from you cousins. And it'll be a page called Stuff We Like. And it will have links right to your page. So it'll describe your website and your key products, and we will be linking right back. So it won't be in our store, it'll be a separate page. So it's driving the sales to your site. So people will be buying from your site. So you get the full benefit of that. And then, just being part of the 7 Sisters because it's fun, so those are things that you get. And then there's always something coming along, we love coming up with ideas and, making things fun. So the idea is we want to have fun together. So we want you part of this team. So, okay, now what I want to talk about right now is our style guide. And again, I will be attaching this as a download and sending it to you as an email, so you got access to it. And again, this is not slap your hands material. It's guidelines, so that yeah, we're just not ugly people looking for ways to make people feel bad or wrong. We want to feel loving, but it is nice to kind of have a framework to work with. Okay. All right. So first you want to know our principles, like what are our values. And, everybody kind of knows this, but in case you hadn't really thought about the words, is these are some things that make Seven Sisters, and we are very intentional about this, is we want any communication we have with people. So our blog posts, our curriculum, the social media stuff, to give the idea of understandableness, of warmth, of acceptance, that we want to be a loving community. So when we are presenting information about Seven Sisters, like curriculum, we always are talking about it being no busy work, because that's our big thing, is we don't want to bore teens, so that's our idea. And when we write, about our blog post for the moms, is we kind of have that idea, is we're not writing a 3,000 word blog post because nobody has time for that. So we try to keep things between 750 and about 1,200 words usually. Because there's no busy work. Okay. All right. We don't want to kill the book or the subject, so we're not going to overdo things. We know Google loves longer posts, so we keep it, we try not to go under that 750 word minimum. But we don't want to kill it with a huge long, like we're not writing for the Atlantic. We're writing for moms who are cramming in reading a blog post, in between subjects with the kids, or right after lunch break. We want everything to be friendly to read, and to have a friendly tone. So we don't use the words must, we just don't do that. And we don't use the word should. That generally we are not musting and shoulding at people. But we're talking about there's not one right way. And so we can say this is how we do it, or these are some ideas that we like, but we are not doing an unfriendly or judgmental tone. We try to keep, if when you look on your Yoast, the SEO information on a blog post, we try to keep the flesh reading score around 50 or 60. And again, we are not slapping hands over this kind of stuff. But what we found is, I'm kind of a geek about those little green balls there that you get on your Yoast thing. So readability and the SEO score. And I love it when I can get a green ball for the SEO and a green ball for readability. And so the flesh reading score is one of those. And the cool thing is that Yoast helps you out, and it'll tell you what to fix. Okay. Another thing that's some of our goals, or the things that make us, is that we have a Christian worldview, but we're not preachy. And we really, really like, just in 6 of us 7 sisters, we're from different denominations. And so we have different, experiences within the Christian community, but our faith is very important to us. So the worldview is there, but we don't preach at people. And so we don't even have to mention God in a post. So we don't have to try to contort things to work it in, because our faith is infused in who we are, but we're also not embarrassed, if we want to mention something that is spiritual. So, but anyway, so we want to just, as you cousins are sharing posts, is just to remember, everybody is coming from a different Christian worldview. And, we even have secular readers and, people from different kinds of faiths. And we're not trying to forget our Christianity over that. But we are being non-judgmental, and so we're not preaching at people. We're just living the life. Okay. All right. And then, of course, there's the not one right way. That is our thing. There's not one right way to homeschool, and there's not one right way to write a blog post. So these are our guidelines here. Okay. All right. So, and we're writing to our 7 Sisters moms, so all of our 7 sisters in general, if you talk to them, they are non-pretentious. They are not full of themselves. They are curious. They don't want to be bored. They have kids of all different kinds. So some are remedial level, some are average level, some are the high-powered honors kids. But they want life and learning to be meaningful and not wasting their time. So they care about their families, they want support, they want encouragement, and they want simple. And so generally when we, like every website dealing with homeschooling has a different angle, and some are for the high-powered college kids aiming for Harvard, and so it's very intense writing. And, some are for the special needs family. And so it's a different kind of very resource oriented. And so we're kind of in the middle of we're just the normal people, the average people. So we've got kids who are going off to high-powered colleges or regular college, and we got kids who are at remedial stuff, and they are going into life. They're not going to be doing college stuff. And then we got your average kids who are going to go and get vocational training or go into the military. And so that's like all different kinds of people, because there's not one right way. But definitely we tend to be writing to that not pretentious group. So nobody's full of themselves. So you don't have to impress anybody. Does that make sense? You are not having to impress anybody with your writing. People just want to be loved. That's all. They just want to be loved. And so if they feel encouraged or believed in as you write, then that's a cool thing. All right. So of course, with that, then we do that friendly tone and respectful. So we never insult anyone or call a name or belittle them. We don't do the high academic tone. We do a friendly tone. Okay. All right. So we get questions about, grammar rules, so everybody has their norms. We tend to lean towards grammar wise, the things that are Google happy, the yes to SEO guidelines. And so some of those we don't really love, but it gives us that green ball on our post. So these are some of the things that we have found get us that green ball. So one is we don't use many contractions. So there are times where you just have to throw a contraction in there. It's just not going to work otherwise. But if you can, don't contract when you don't have to contract. So, instead of don't, do not. So I used a contraction to tell you not to use a contraction. Okay, so anyway, all right. So when, as much as possible, we don't use contractions. And again, that has more to do with the SEO and word counts and things like that. All right, one thing that we love and have sacrificed because it's part of the SEO thing, and that's the Oxford comma. I love the Oxford comma. I think the Oxford comma is the best thing ever, but the Oxford comma is out of style. And so we have not been using that lovely Oxford comma, and I mourn that on a very frequent basis, but we're not using it. As far as numbers, we spell out the numbers under 100. And again, this is a guideline. It is not the end of the world. In fact, our earlier posts all have the numbers in number form and numeral form. And it just became more of the norm over time to spell out the numbers under 100. So that's just not life or death, just a thing. Dates and sentences, Can you believe like these are a thing? So generally, if you're going to throw a date in a sentence these days, you don't put a comma after the year, like the sentence, he became a dictator in 1928 after a tumultuous coup. In the old days, when I was growing up, you always put a comma after 1928, but these days you leave that out. Again, we ain't slapping hands on any of this stuff. Okay. Pronouns. Oh my goodness, pronouns are the thing these days, And so if you can rewrite a sentence so you're not struggling over whether you say he, she, or they, just, rewrite that sentence if you can. Because it's just like so stressful. Do you do he/she or they or whatever? Just there's other ways to say that sentence. All right. We tend to use short paragraphs. Like if this paragraph is going over 5 lines, break it up. Even though if you were writing a term paper for college, you're going to hand that in for grading, you're supposed to have long paragraphs with, meaty information. And you guys know this, in blog posts, you don't have big chunks of text. That white space is really important. So break it up, even if it's hurting your soul, break it up after about 3 lines, okay? And then white space, lots of it. So one of the things that really makes Google happy is bullet lists. So every time that I write a paragraph, like the colors of the flowers in the garden were blue, green, yellow, and orange, then I would, instead of doing that as a sentence with commas, I would do the flowers in the garden were colon and then bulleted blue, green, yellow, and orange, in bullet points, because that makes Yoast little green ball really happy. Quotations, using quotations, that is really good stuff. All right, so that brings up the topic is one of the things that we can talk about one-on-one is if you like to load posts yourself on the website, if you're comfortable with doing that, that we can get you started doing that. And if not, just create posts for us, and then our beloved Stacy Lane, Clem Daniel, is going to load them for you. So what we want is the blog post, and we're not awfully persnickety about it getting loaded. So all right, let's see if I've got other things. So ideas for posts, and we will talk about that one-on-one, but mostly is we're interested in what you're interested in. And so there, to be able to, do a little plugging of your own stuff, and a little plugging of 7Sisters and one of the things. It can go in a lot of different directions. It doesn't mean you're doing a review on one piece of curriculum. For us or for you, it can be a topic like, planning for the winter semester, and you could write about that and then integrate it in things that you wanted to highlight. So we don't have to contort to do reviews. We don't need that. We want things that people actually might search Google, and look up. So if you need ideas, that's what we're here for. So you don't have to have everything all figured out. You don't need to cover the topic of parenting, that we try to avoid, like parenting styles. We don't do politics, and we don't take sides on denominational related things, if that makes sense. So we can talk about that more if you want. So our spirituality is important, but some things are very denominationally oriented. So parenting, politics, and denominational stuff, let's just skip that for another time. So make sure, like Yoast is our friends, or Yoast, however you pronounce it. So we want that green light. And if you've written much on your blog post, even if you're sending it to us for Stacy to load, imagine in your head we're after that green light. And so we want, a focus keyword that's integrated several times into the blog post. If you do a Google search for that keyword and see if it's searched at all, does it come up as a Google search, or if you have a keyword suggesting site that you work with, like I use Uber Suggest all the time. It'll show you some keywords that would rank nicely. And then we want, if you're just bringing a post to me for Stacy to load, include 3 links, if you can, as much as you can. 3 links from other posts on 7Sisters. And this has to do with the orphan post kind of things. So we are trying like the plague to have lots of good internal linking, because that we're getting good rewards from that. And then at least 2 outbound links. So at least one to your site, one to another site. But at least, if they're both to pertinent things, I don't care, it just needs to be outbound somewhere. Okay. And so again, all this is going in a style guide to you. I just wanted to say them to you in case you're busy and just want to listen. We'd like to have images. So if you can send us an image, do. If it's something that's beyond, like what you've got abilities for, just let me know and we will figure that out. If you do an image, especially if you're loading a post and you're going to load that image, reduce it. You want it compressed. And I use tiny PNG for that. So tinypng.com, because it's really important for site speed, in case you probably already do that. If you're doing a photo, we want photos that are attractive and compelling. That sounds really vague, but we want kind of normal looking people doing something, look studyish, but in a setting. So not a blank background, like it looks like studioized. And then if you're doing a picture, let me know and I'll send you the 7Sisters logo you can slap on there somewhere. We don't want to not have the 7Sisters logo on there somewhere. And the sizes change periodically, and right now most of the time we're doing the main photo for an article will be 600 by 800, and we will often have a little banner at the bottom and sometimes a little bit at the top, just because it's an old tradition of ours, but we're not picky about that. So and we also have a featured photo with that same photo cropped for Facebook, because Facebook's so darn ornery sometimes, and will only show a 1200 by 628. Have you noticed that? So we really have to contort ourselves to get the full like 600 by 800 one on there sometimes. And then if you are doing a font, if you're loading it on the site, just keep the standard font that's there. If you're putting the title on your photo of your post, we want to use a sans serif font like Futura Medium or Helvetica. Okay, and then if you want to put in, make an 800 by 800 or 600 by 600 square somewhere in the middle of the post, we can do that. Anyway, we'll talk about all those things because we got a lot of flexibility on whether you do that or don't. We're mostly after your words, so, and we can load it or you can load it. Like we can work that kind of stuff out. Okay. All right. So I will send this all to you so you can download it. But at least I wanted to talk about it. The most important thing is I wanted you to know how much we are glad to have you as a cousin. Like we love our 7Sisters and we're really, really glad. And I would love it most of all, and I know Sabrina feels like this with me, is that we would love if gradually over time we can have this fun community together. And so as everyone has time, and pandemics hopefully stay at bay, maybe we can all meet in person sometime, but at least on Zoom till then, as much as that is possible in real life. So we know everybody's are busy moms. If you got any questions, please, please, please feel free to contact me. And like really, we are in this because a rising tide lifts all ships. We want to have fun together, and we are not judgmental, stressful, slap your hands. We want to encourage and support, and knowing there's not one right way. So don't get stressed. Oh, I might not do it right. Like we're going to make this work together. Okay. All right, cousins, sisters, thank you for listening to this, and we will talk by email or messenger or in real life one of these days.